And that's why I think the resources are needed. And if needs be, the police should be resourced to investigate as well.
That's Tom Watson, the Deputy Labour leader. There are a couple of tricky questions, I think, following all of this. Firstly, who to believe, because you've got one side and you've got another side, both clearly disagreeing with each other. The second, bigger question, though, is did this, if it did happen, influence the result of the referendum? And that one, I think, is really hard, if not impossible, perhaps, to answer.
OK, Laura, thank you. Well, let's take a look at some of the day's other news now. An Earth Hour saw some of the world's most iconic landmarks go dark for 60 minutes as part of a symbolic call for more action on climate change. Darkness fell on Tower Bridge, the Houses of Parliament, the Empire State Building and the Colosseum. Rare photos of the Beatles' first concerts in the US have sold for £250,000 at auction in New York. Photographer Mike Mitchell was only 18 when he took hundreds of never-before-seen pictures of the band's performances at the Washington Coliseum and the Baltimore Civic Center in 1964.
Refrain, couleur du ciel, parfum de mes 20 ans.
Lise Assia, the first person to win the Eurovision Song Contest, has died at the age of 94. Her song Refrain won the competition for Switzerland in 1956. She died on Saturday in a Zurich hospital. Now, when Qantas first flew between the UK and Australia, it took 4 days. That was back in 1947, and this morning, a Boeing 787-900 Dreamliner completed the 9,000-mile journey from Perth to Heathrow in just over 17 hours. The travel journalist and broadcaster Simon Calder was on board 17 hours.
Yes, and forgive me if I gave the impression that I was on board. I'm actually on my way to Heathrow with my passport ready to check in for
is it valid?
a flight back. It is, yes.
Oh,
thank
good.
you very much. I have got the necessary online permission. But an astonishing journey. I was there at 5 a.m. when QF9 touched down. Talked to all the passengers. First guy off, a businessman. Of course, he'd been in business class, and he said it was absolutely terrific. But even the economy passengers were saying, yep, compared with the normal getting off the plane in the middle of the night somewhere, it's all fluorescent, you expected to go duty-free shopping, this was definitely the way to go about it. I've been finding out more about what lies in store on my 17-hour flight, and it's going to be basically lunch over Germany, dinner over the Arabian Sea, and then breakfast shortly before 5 a.m. British time tomorrow on the approach to Perth.
What class are you flying?
I'm flying in economy. Oh dear, I booked my seat hours after the flight went on sale last April. I thought I'd booked a bulkhead seat with nobody in front of me. They phoned me up this week to say, sorry, we've
You're in the middle.
We've had a baby and a family checking in, so they've got your seat. We've moved you so that you're close enough to the baby and also next to the loo, down the back.
Oh.
So I'm looking forward to it hugely. But
that's the real test, isn't it, really? Economy in one of these longs. flight.
Yes, certainly. And Qantas say they've done a great deal to try to ease the pain. There's a little bit more room than you would get on British Airways or Virgin Atlantic in economy. They say that because it's a 787 Dreamliner, the cabin is more highly pressurised, and that means you're not going to feel so lousy. And I will be trying to hydrate, drinking plenty of water, and also to exercise. But of course, it's also slightly tempting to have a glass of something Australian along the way.
Not too many glasses.
Of course, yes.
The Dreamliner,
Yeah.
it has revolutionised these long-haul flights, hasn't it? But it's not the longest flight in the world.
No, oddly, the longest flight isn't run by a Dreamliner at all, even though the Dreamliner was designed as an ultra-long-haul plane. It's actually a Boeing 777, and it flies every day between Doha in Qatar and Auckland in New Zealand. It beats the Qantas one by about 15 miles, so there's not much in it.
How many minutes is 15 miles when you're flying?
When you're flying, oh gosh, that's going to be 2.5 minutes, I'm guessing. Yeah, two and a half minutes. Yeah. Oh, exactly.
2.5 minutes here and there.
Yes, but later on this year, then you have Singapore Airlines bringing back their Singapore to New York flight, which is another hour on top of that. And I was talking this morning to Alan Joyce, boss of Qantas. He says by 2022 there will be a non-stop flight between London and Sydney. Now that is over 10,500 miles, so that is really going to make a difference. And of course, Sydney is much bigger, Sydney is much more important business centre. So that's going to be the holy grail of aviation for the next few years.
Why are we seeing these long-haul flights coming back? I mean, why would you want to sit for 17 hours rather than get off in the middle of your flight, walk around, have something to drink and get back on another flight?
Well, I conducted a social media poll, and of the people who said, other than it depends how much the price is, it was basically 4 people to 3 was the ratio of people who would prefer to go straight through. And the thing is, for Qantas, they face such intense competition from all the Far Eastern and the Gulf carriers, they've got to do something different. So actually, they've halved the amount of capacity between Melbourne and London, because this flight originates in Melbourne, and they're basically just saying, we're going to carry fewer people than we were, but we hope they're going to spend more money with us, and that there will be a premium payable for this flight.
So you don't really make a lot of money in the aviation industry by packing as many people into a flight as possible, do you?
Well, some people do. Ryanair is probably the most successful and profitable airline in the world, and that's exactly what they do. When you're talking long haul, it's all about the mix of passengers. So I'm paying, over £1,300, most expensive ticket I've ever bought. But people in premium economy are paying.
Not very expensive, but anyway. Yeah.
Well, you can get to Australia and back this time of year for £600-700 if you're prepared to take a stop along the way. So almost half the price. And then in business class, of course, it's over £5,000 return. And if you've got a full business class, then us down the back are just ballast, really.
Well, I hope you enjoy it. But I just want to say, what are you going to be doing in
this is my in-flight reading. This is it. The Ladybird book of travel adventure, Flight 1 Australia, 1958, so 60 years ago. It's a Bristol Britannia.
I was going to say, what plane is that?
Bristol Britannia, BOAC, took 4 days. I'm looking forward to having lunch in London and then lunch in Perth, Western Australia.
Excellent, Simon. Thank you so much. Have a safe flight.
Thank you.
You're watching Sky News coming up emotional scenes. You're watching Sky News coming up emotional scenes in Washington. But how much impact will yesterday's March for Our Lives really have?
Lying out in the sun was something Sue Deans used to do a lot.
Okay, well I couldn't land at the last place in Peru because the runway seemed to have lots of huge trenches in it. So hopefully this next runway will be alright. We'll see. The program glitch, I think. Okay, this runway should be here somewhere. Yeah, I've got it. certainly looks better from this angle. I don't think a lot of work has gone into this part of South America somehow. I guess the game makers concentrate on places like Las Vegas. Who knows? That's what you get for approaching too fast. Stop! Welcome to Peru.